Tony Mepham joins me in the studio, and we'll start with the bowl and another 7-0 and big win for St Mary's, the champions, and they stay top of the fledgling table.
Yeah, it's play two. It's always funny, isn't it, with the Premier League? Same in Manx football when you only see one or two games played and look at where clubs are. But St Mary's led at half-time 2-0. So Old Boys did well in the first 45 minutes. But in the second half, I think it's the Dan Hattersley show at the moment, because 5 for him last week, 4 today. Alex Harrison got his name on the score sheet as well. And a couple of goals for Frank Jones. So a great start for St Mary's. But for Old Boys, conceding 14 goals in 2 games, struggling big time.
Yeah, they are indeed. Let's go to the team who will, in fact, stay in second place. It was the game you were at. Laxey 6, Ramsey 0.
Yeah, Laxey did well, and fair play to them. We know that they're going to lose a few players, but at half-time it was 2-0, and Laxey had one disallowed as well. And you know, they look really good, and you could see why, because, a couple of players that have signed from Jack Ridings and also Jordan Cooper. You know, Jack worked well in midfield. Jordan's always a threat up front. But it was Jack who started it off to give Laxey the lead 1-0. And then Tommy Callow made it 2-0. 2-0 it was at half-time. A bit of an argument going on between Tommy and Jordan, but it was all in good spirits. Who scored that second goal? But Jordan got his name on the score sheet in the second half with a couple of goals, one from the penalty spot. And then to me, the goal of the game, Chris Asbridge. It was great football, and then a superb left foot finish by him. Andy Perry stood no chance when it nestled in that top right-hand side of his goal. And 5-0 and cruising. And then Tom Cowan hit a goal to make it 6-0. Comfortable victory for Laxey, and they'll be happy enough. But for Ramsey, I looked at them. There's a few players missing from last season, Tim, who got them that promotion spot. And also there's a little bit of work to do on sort of creating chances, because they were stifled, whether that was down to Laxey's defence, because Rob Stringer, the goalkeeper for Laxey, could have quite easily have gone home because he didn't have much to do. And, Ramsey could do with finding those goal-scoring boots that they had last season.
With Russia not playing, Peel move up to third after a 6-1 win at Douglas Road against Morang.
Yeah, and Jack Kamada, first goal for his new club. Lee Gale got a couple of goals. Well done, Lee. Dan Simpson, a goal for him for his new team. So well done, Dan. Rhys Oates makes it 4 the season now out of 2 games. And Daniel Bell got the other one. George Brockhouse it was who got the goal for Morang in the second half.
Fourth place in the table for St George's. They're the fourth of the teams played 2 for 6 points. 5-1 against Pulrose at Glencrutchery Road.
Yeah, they worked really hard in the first half. They were 4-1 up at half-time. Steve Priestnell, no surprise there with the goal for Pulrose. But St George's back from injury. Furrow Davies with 4. And I think it's Connor Hislop got the other one. So comfortable victory in the end for St George's.
And Douglas Athletic 2, Corinthians 11 after a storming second half by the Whites.
Yeah, must have woken up, I think, because it was 1-1 at half-time. But Luke Jollins, got 2 goals for Douglas Athletic. But for Corinthians, it's all shared amongst the team here, because Conor Gorman got 1. Fraser Vaughan got a couple of goals. Josh Ridings got 1. Sean Doyle with 2. Steve Whitley, the top scorer of the day, he got a hat-trick. Dal Hazlitt with a goal as well. And Danny Oram. So, Corinthians put back the goal tally, if you like, to what they lost last week, because it's a better position for them now. And Douglas Athletic with a bit of work to do on their second game, which comes up next week.
10 goals in half.
Good shooting.
Doesn't happen often, that.
Well, it doesn't. And if I remember rightly, it was a game I remember. Was it St John's against St George's up at Glencrutchery Road? And I think St John's were leading at half-time 1-0. And if I remember rightly, Tim, it was something like the full-time score was 15, wasn't it? Something like that.
It was ridiculous,
so
wasn't it, the
madness.
second half. St Mary's, though, they are top. They played 2 and a goal difference of plus 16. Laxey's goal difference plus 12. Peel's plus 10. St George's plus 6. So, anyone going to stop St Mary's?
Yeah, well, I think, when you're looking at it, it was a big loss for Corinthians against St George's. St George's, as I keep saying, that I think they'll get better as the season goes with the younger players that are there. They've done well up to now, 3-1 against Corinthians, 5-1 against Pulrose. But a lot of people's picks was Peel and St Mary's. And when you look at the games next week, Peel were down to play Castletown, so they'll sit out. But you look at St George's play against Old Boys and St Mary's play against Ramsey. So, it could sort of change a little bit with Peel not playing. But that's what we want. We want exciting league tables. We've over the years, myself and you, Tim, have just seen, Geordie's now probably played 6 points and the others have already dropped points. So it's tighter. And
would you say as well that St Mary's and Peel are both stronger than they were last season?
I think Peel will get stronger. Dan Simpson's a massive signing for them, but at the moment, without Dominic McGreevy and Luke Doherty, once those two are available, and I believe after next week, those two will be there. So defensively, that will increase on them. St Mary's, yeah, possibly. I think Josh Kelly, I know Josh is injured, but he's going to be out for a couple of months. But Dan Hattersley, he's already shown, hasn't he, with 9 goals in 2 games. He's stronger there in that forward area. The boys that they lost, Luke Booth, Darren Hudgens back, so he'll add to that one as well. Jordan Cooper left them. So, I would say looking at the top 4 sides, St George's, I know younger players have come into him, but they're really good young players. And even though you've lost sort of people like Callum hasn't really played a lot for 2 years. Pekka, Kieran McNulty is a massive loss for them, and Sam Kane is a big loss as well. But those young players are the future, and we've witnessed it before. So I think we might be witnessing a deja vu job for them if the players can stay together.
And let's not forget a great start after all their struggles last year for Laxey.
Incredible. I think someone was saying today, and I don't know how true it is, that they only had 1 point up till Christmas. That sounds a little bit bizarre to me, but could be. But Johnny knew that he had to get the points. I don't think Laxey were under pressure this season. When you look at sort of Castletown have already gone and a couple of other clubs are struggling. But he's making haste while the sun shines, because while these boys are over, like Andrew Berkwitt today, no Joe Walters, no Stan Manning, they're going to lose 1 or 2 others, which is going to cost them. But points on the board, it'll keep them happy. And the crew that are there looking good, and you could tell that they're enjoying it.
Let's look at JCK Limited Division 2, and St John's will stay top after that 4-0 win last night because others have dropped points. Colby lost 2-1 away at Onken.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise this one because it came through. It was 1-1. Jack Charmer, big dunk they call him, got the goal for Onken to give them the lead. Then Colby equalised, haven't got their goal scorer. And then Barry English from the penalty spot, basically the last kick of the game, Tim, gave the points to Onken. That's their first game of the season, so that will give David Rees and the boys a massive lift. And Colby with that emphatic win last week against Governors, unfortunately today couldn't do it and dropped points.
Well, let's go through the teams that won last week but lost this week. 3-1 Ramsey Youth Centre lost at Braddon.
Well, it's a good gauge now for Braddon. I said to you at lunchtime, didn't it? We're trying to find out about this team. And today, Dan McLaughlin, even though he missed a penalty, got a goal. So let's talk about the goal he got. Mark O'Neill got one, so I'm pretty certain he'll be high on his dad's itinerary now with John O being the manager. And Nick Harvey as well. He got a couple of goals last week and one today. Haven't got Ramsey Youth Centre's goal scorer, but I believe Ramsey Youth Centre missed a penalty when it was 2-1 to Braddon, so that could have changed it dramatically. But 2 penalties missed in that game, and Braddon are climbing up the table nicely. And after you look at last year, they didn't have a team. Well done to them.
And Malou were the other team with a win last week. Well, they got an absolute thumping this afternoon down in Ballasalla. Malou 0, Foxdale 10.
Yeah, Foxdale were disappointed last week with dropping points against Braddon, and today they were 3-0 up at half-time, so 7 goals in the second half. New signing Stuart Morrison, he signed from St John's with a hat-trick. Steve Bettridge with 2. Cannonball, Liam Cannon got a goal. Andy Williamson, Kevin Pullman, Ricky Newsham and Jay Chatwood. So nice to see 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 goal scorers in that one. And it puts Foxdale back on the map with those 3 points.
And 2 of the fancied sides who lost a week ago demonstrated a bit more form this week. Ayres 7, Douglas and District 0.
Yeah, Steve Jones is happy with this performance, and Dean Tate was the star. He got a hat-trick. It was only 1-0 at half-time. Anthony Bale got a couple of goals. Aidan Cummins, who transferred from St Mary's, with 1. Matthew Skillicorn, who transferred from Peel, got a goal as well. So a comfortable victory in the end with those 6 goals in the second half.
And it was Governors Athletic 2, Union Mills 13.
Yeah, they're having a torrid time. Governors Athletic at the moment conceded 27 goals in 2 games. And today it was Matt Kane, the star, with 4. Jordan Crawley got a couple of goals. Luke Booth, all those players transferred to Union Mills this year. Dylan Campbell got 1. Ryan Kelly with a couple of goals, one of the usual goal scorers. 4 Millers, Carl Uren with 2. And Colin Geraghty got the other one. And just noticed at the bottom, half-time score was 6-0.
Onken obviously have a 100% record, having won their
fine.
first game, but St John's have won their opening 2, and they're the only team with 6 points from the 2 games and top of the table after the win last night.
Yeah, and I think with St John's, last week was a big pointer to say where they are. I went to watch them last night. The first half an hour, Tim, I was impressed. They look strong, and I think St John's they're definitely going to be in that sort of race at the top for the league. Kieran Brock, we know his history from playing at Lax. He's always scored goals and came in at St John's and didn't quite find his feet, but it looks as if he's going now because last night he could have had a couple more goals. Callum Taggart's a huge plus. Callum's sort of been missing from St John's for a good chunk of 7-8 years now because university and everything else with his job. Richard Wynne was a handful last night and he could have quite easily have a hat-trick. So, yeah, it's looking good for the Johners.
Right, it's going to be a scrap, I think, Division 2 this year
Careful.
by the look of it.